None of us really know. None of us really know.
I know.
No, I know. Perfect timing, Keith.
Keith, what's up?
Your favorite movie of all time. Step 9.
Oh, good.
How is there any other choice than Remember the Titans being number one?
I'm curious.
I'm spoiling mine, but
Well, let's see. Here we go. Yeah, that's a good, good
I'm
question,
not even
Brian.
done talking.
you shouldn't be talking at this point.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Apocaflix Movies. Apocaflix Now, movie hangout show from our channel that happens every Tuesday at 7 p.m. My name is Gio. I'll be the host today. And I am joined by most of the Apocaflix crew with Keith Barnes, probably en route. He's probably driving over the speed limit, like, I got to get on, crap. He tends to listen to us on his drive home. So, Keith, drive safe and hope to see you soon.
Keith, we're only talking about the topic you want to talk about the most first, so drive safe.
And it's rainy, so be extra safe.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Rain here in Northern California and Arctic chill. Like, it's been cold lately. But anyways,
Very cold.
let's go around the horn and check in on everyone and see what they've been up to. To my left, you're right on your screen, Mr. Jake Berlin. And I believe you had a birthday in between this now and last week's now. How was your birthday? How are you?
I did. Thank you, Gio. My birthday was good. I mean, once you get to a certain age, birthdays kind of become like the same thing. We just like go to dinner or celebrate with your family or whatever it may be. Went to dinner with my parents and Gabby at a brand new restaurant in Roseville that is unbelievable. Southern comfort food.
Charm.
Ridiculous.
Mm.
No.
Nice.
And then I celebrated with some friends, I celebrated just with two of our other couple friends on Saturday and went to a speakeasy downtown, which was freaking awesome.
Talking about the roost?
I went to the Roost. It was incredible.
Nice.
So had some had an old fashioned, had some Sazerac that had some absinthe in it, saw a green fairy. It was an exciting night.
Whoa.
That means Jake's tried weed.
Yeah.
Damn, my guy was lit, man. Jeez. Well, I'm happy to hear that you had a good birthday. And yeah,
I'm happy to be here.
Yeah.
Jake, for the record, please state how old you just turned.
No.
I'm sure
I
Same
don't
age.
have to do that.
Same age as me. That's all I know.
I'm
Wow.
still the youngest on the channel, so it doesn't matter.
Ugh, yeah, that's right,
Very
man.
true.
All right.
By 6
Beneath
months.
him, the guy talking, Mr. Jacob Bartley. Jacob, what's going on, man? What's the latest?
Not much, man. Nothing as exciting as Jake. Well, unless you count Megan as exciting as
Oh,
Jake's birthday.
You know, hold on a second. I gotta say this. This is so funny. I love when Jacob reviews movies because it's March and he made sure to put the best movie of 2023, and there's been like 3 movies so far.
Yes, exactly. Well,
It's
that's
just-
the
yeah.
point. But still, here's the thing about that. If you would have told me that I keep wanting to say Annabelle because it's a doll movie. Okay. If you would have told me I would like Megan more than Quantumania, I would have said, you are crazy. Never in a million years. Megan is a better movie than Quantumania.
We're
It just
throwing-
is.
Hey, save your Marvel jazz for later, buddy. Okay?
It's not a Marvel jab. I'm just telling the truth. I've only seen 3 movies this year: Knock at the Cabin, Quantumania, and Megan.
Of course, it would be better than those ones. Then I mean,
Well, I mean, not
you didn't
better
set
than
that high of a
Quantumania.
standard.
I had a high expectations for Quantumania, but we already discussed that last week. But yes, Megan is awesome. Can't wait for the sequel. You guys should check it out. I think it's on Peacock, right?
Yeah.
It's on Peacock. Gabby wants to watch it. So
Oh, no way.
I want to watch.
Hey, you guys would enjoy it. Like, that's a perfect movie for you guys. It's not too long. It's like hour 30. Nice.
Great. Awesome. And directly beneath me on the screen, Mr. Brian Avalosino. Brian, what's going on, man? What's the good word? What's the word on the street?
How's my the word on the street is this
homeless drunk guy that's screaming right now.
Literally.
I'm not even
Wow.
joking.
Wow.
He wants your autograph.
Maybe. How's my camera quality, Gio? You like it? A little
Better?
different?
Good, man. You testing out
I
the
need to
Logitech?
Yeah. So need to figure out how to deal with lighting with my glasses. Though.
No,
That's
me
the
too. You can see the glare in my glasses every time.
Yeah. So other than that, and my skin blending in with the paint. But other
Maybe,
than that,
yeah.
yeah, no. Other than
It
that,
does
doing
look
good.
better, Brian. It really does. I didn't notice until you
Well,
said something.
that's because I'm not using a 2011 FaceTime camera anymore. So I think I might have even been better just using my phone. But yeah, things going good. I feel like I haven't seen Jacob in forever, and he works like 20 feet away from me.
I don't know where your classroom is, man. You ditched me. You left classrooms. You're hiding from me.
I don't regret moving classrooms one bit, not even a little bit.
Yeah,
I don't have
blame you.
Jacob's kids running up to my window and licking the window anymore.
Those aren't my students. All right.
What the hell?
He had little kids.
Sound like
He
my
has,
dog.
Not
they're
my
like
kids.
kindergartners. They run up to the windows and they're like looking in, and then
Yeah.
Jacob, you need to get your kids under control.
No,
man.
my kids, they already know. They all have little hand sanitizers now. They know what's up, but those aren't my kids, though. Trust me.
Jacob runs around with the bottle trying to like squirt. Like, no, you're unclean.
Come here. Give me your hands. Don't touch that. No, don't.
I try. It's
doing?
impossible, though.
Oh god!
Oh,
I can
man.
only imagine you when they're like sneezy and runny nose coming up to you.
Why do you think I stand so far away, Brian?
He does. The playground's like here, and he's always like here.
That's how he stands against us too. He doesn't like anybody.
True.
That's fair.
True.
Pretty much. Man. Well, Brian, you look good.
Thank you.
As far as the brightness goes, maybe turn on the brightness on your computer screen or on your ring light. See that right there? See how it shifted?
Mm-hmm.
And there you go.
That
See?
do anything?
Yeah.
Yes.
It did. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
See?
Turn the
There you
brightness
go.
down halfway.
Yeah. Awesome. You know, I gotta say, like, I watch all you guys' channels. And I think this past Friday you guys did a newlyweds on POV.
Yes.
I caught part of it. Brian, did you come up with the questions?
I do 2 of the last 3 years I've been the host with the most.
The one where it was the wives or girlfriends like say where would a body piercing be, and then like I saw Jake's
The very last
like
one.
what the hell. I was just like
That was my
that was good
very
stuff,
last
man.
question.
Yeah, you guys
if
keep
you
that
have-
up. That's good stuff. All right, before we get
Thank
to
you,
me, we
Gio.
got our
Thank you.
5th
Thank you.
and final member here. I told you, man, this guy is speeding home, man. Jesus Christ, but he made it, and he is safe, and he is well. Mr. Keith Barnes. Keith, how are you? What's the good word? How are you?
I mean, I sped from the kitchen to my room here because I was off today. I'm on vacation. I'm off. I'm not working.
That's right.
Awesome.
And you're late.
What the hell, Keith?
He just outed himself.
Been out myself.
I'm just busting your ball.
I'm doing
He
my
still has-
real
still has
job.
4 kids. All right.
Exactly. So
Oh, God,
came
that's
from
the worst.
the kitchen straight to here. So
Nice. Well,
Good evening,
say
everyone.
something. Like, how's your vacation been? You've had some days off, man. You at least sleeping 8 hours?
well, it's pouring rain the last 3 days, so I stayed in the house. I watched Bullet Train today.
Oh, so good, huh?
Not bad. Yeah, that's pretty. I had fun with that. That's pretty fun. I enjoyed it. It was all right.
Yeah, it's a fun. Yeah, that'd be a fun movie to watch. You know, you're at home, you're underneath the blanket, and you just want to throw something on. That's
Exactly what I
fun.
did. Our kids
Yeah.
are at school. Took everybody to school, and then got back. And like, let's sit back and watch something.
yeah.
So, Yeah, it
Yeah,
was
the
pretty
whole
fun.
thing, man. You got popcorn, a cigar, and just there you go, man. I love it.
Yes.
And
We should plan
what's up?
a third. Oh, what are they? The Western Conference third place Sacramento Kings game sometime soon.
I was out last night trying to. It was too cloudy to see the beam. Couldn't quite see
I
it.
saw the beam for the first time on Sunday when I was driving back to
Oh, yeah?
Sacramento. I was like,
Yeah.
there it is.
Beam.
We
I
are.
walked
we
right
are-
out. I see it right over. It's right off to the right here. I got to step outside.
We
and go
already
across the
have we have, I think it's 6 more wins than we did all of last year.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so great.
Kings going to the NBA championship. Calling it, saying it here
Keith,
first.
Keith, you're a Kings
relax.
fan now? What is going on? Oh,
What do you mean
you
now?
too, Gio? Oh my goodness. Fake
Hey,
fan.
What do you
the
mean
Sacramento. So big time Boston Celtics fan, but the Kings are like they're like the side piece. Okay, like it's that's my Western Conference
The hell?
favorite team.
Side
So
piece. We ain't
I
no
love the
queen.
Kings,
We're the
man.
Kings.
Kangs, the Kangs,
Wow.
Kangs with a
Sacramento
Z.
Kangs.
Kangs
Wow.
I've
with
been
a
a
Z.
Kings fan. I've been a Kings fan almost as long as you've been alive, Jacob Bartley. What are you talking about?
Wow.
See,
That's not true. That's not true.
The only bad thing
That is true.
is they're doing exactly what I had to experience with the Warriors in the Bay Area. Is those tickets were dirt cheap for years.
Yep.
Where
Mhm.
I was going, I got to see Shaq on the Celtics for $4. I'll never forget that.
Right.
And then now it's like, and I'm
Yeah.
like, oh no, not the
Dude,
Kings.
my sister had season tickets for like 10 years. And then she gave them up like maybe 2 years ago.
Oh,
And then me and my son Kevin were just screaming at her, "Don't do this!" I'm telling you, every year we'd be like, "Don't do it." Now she's trying to get them back, and of course they're like,
of course.
Well, I mean, I'm always in the chat like you guys. Hey, I got like 4 tickets to this game, and nobody says anything. So, like, anyways, all right, we're off topic. We're already behind. I'm Gio. I'm the host. I'm doing good. All right, we got a great show for you guys. We're gonna a lot of news has dropped in between nows. Okay, Marvel Studios making some big time adjustments, and that is definitely going to affect some of our highly anticipated shows and movies that we have coming out. WB and New Line struck a deal for more Lord of the Rings. You knew this was happening. And Star Wars, the future of the movies on the big screen. Could that be revealed at Celebration? We're going to get to all that. But if you've seen this show and you've been around, you know what's next. It's our movie watching challenge. Somebody hit the stinger, please.
The host is supposed to hit the stinger.
No,
that's Jake's job.
No. Who's the co-pilot? Who's it? Bum, bum, bum.
I did my
Somebody
job.
was supposed to.
Sorry,
Who's the co-pilot?
I said this is excellent podcasting. I love it.
Oh my god!
I'm just kidding,
Okay.
Gio. You're killing it, man. You didn't know you had to do that. You're killing
Gio,
it.
the audio listeners didn't notice the thing.
Bro, I'm not even supposed to be here, man. Come on, guys. Anyways, all right. Last week, Brian was challenged to watch The Last Duel, starring Ben Affleck, Matt Damon, Adam Driver, and oh my god, what's her name?
Jodie Comer.
Thank you, Jodie Comer. Ridley Scott's latest flick, and Brian, I don't know. What are you doing? Are you doing a separate video? Are you talking about it now? What's going on?
Already shot it.
Already shot it. Okay, Brian
Nice.
has one in the chamber. He's gonna release that video for the last duel. That video is
Not
coming
the last
tomorrow.
Of us, the last duel.
The
You
last
almost said
duel,
The
the Last of Us. Yeah, man. Last action hero. Anyways, Brian,
Yes.
tease the fans a little bit, okay? Give us a tease about what you think of the movie. Something.
The action was top notch in this movie. I will say that.
Okay, that's good action. There you go.
That's all.
That's
I'm
the
giving.
best elevator pitch I've ever heard.
Wow.
This is
Jake, we got some clips from this episode for just.
We're only 15 minutes in, and the show's already hit a freaking haywire.
I'm trying to think of if this was other than Gladiator, the only other Ridley Scott movie I've seen.
You've seen The Martian?
Have you seen The Martian?
Oh yes, I've seen The Martian.
Okay.
Have you seen Alien?
No, I haven't seen any of the Aliens. I have seen.
Wow.
I saw the original Blade Runner, but I think other than those three, I think I haven't seen anything Ridley Scott.
Oh
Did you watch
wait,
the-
Brian, you gotta watch The Counselor. It's
What
like
was the
greatest
Charlie
movie of all
Hunnam
time.
one? It was a King Arthur movie.
Yeah, King Arthur.
No, that wasn't really
Oh,
Scott. That was Guy Ritchie.
Oh,
that was Guy Ritchie.
no,
Yeah,
you're thinking
yeah.
Robin Hood. He directed.
Yeah, you're thinking of Robin Hood with
Oh,
Russell
yeah,
Crowe.
yeah, yeah.
Russell
Yeah.
Crowe, Kate
Yeah.
Blanchett.
I actually like Robin Hood a lot, by the way. Like that movie is kind of cool.
Yeah,
That's just me, though.
definitely those three are the only. Oh no, I've seen Black
Not
Hawk
bad.
Down.
You're all right, Keith.
Okay. So
All
Oh,
right.
I forgot about
Well-
I forgot about Black Hawk Down. That's a great movie. I like that.
Yeah, I caught that movie too late. But anyways, okay. Let's get to the second part, the movie watching challenge. Brian, I need you to reveal who you have challenged and bring up that wheel and what they will be watching.
Mr. Bartley, your time is up.
I knew it.
Yay!
I knew it. But okay.
So you have 4
Damn.
movies of randomness.
Got 2 Scorsese movies on.
I like to put people's whole list in it and just click it 4 times, and those are the 4 movies on the wheel. And that's what you got this time, Jacob, which is The Age of Innocence, Raging Bull, American Psycho, and 42.
Wow.
What a list.
No rhyme or
What a
reason.
list.
Literally pure randomness.
I wouldn't mind either one.
But are we ready?
Yep. Let's go ahead and spin the wheel. Those of you in the chat, let us know which movie you want Jacob to watch. But go ahead.
I know which one I really want. Raging Bull. Let's go.
American Psycho. Oh, really?
Oh, here we go. I'll take it.
The Age of Innocence.
I will take it. This is a Scorsese movie I'm very, very unfamiliar with. I just heard some other people talking about some of Scorsese's best movies, and they mentioned this one, and I added it to my list. So that's all I know. That Scorsese directed it.
I am
That's
not
it.
gonna lie. I thought that this was The Age of Adeline.
Wait, Keith, is Harrison Ford in this? No?
Up until this very moment, I thought it was The Age of Adeline.
That's why I said I was like, wow, 2 Scorsese.
Completely different titles. From one word or 2 words.
What was that? Sorry, Jacob, what'd you say?
No, that's who I was thinking of. Daniel Day-Lewis is in this movie.
Yeah,
Yes.
Michelle
Daniel
Pfeiffer?
Day-Lewis, Michelle Pfeiffer, Winona Ryder.
Winona Ryder, yeah, that's right.
That's what caught my attention because, I think he's only done Gangs of New York with him, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm excited. Thank you,
I
Brian.
also made sure that all of your movies were available free on streaming, just because I am not
Aw,
I'm
thank
just that
you.
kind of person.
You know what I'm gonna do now? I'm gonna set a reminder to watch it. So don't forget.
Sounds good.
Reminder to watch.
Real quick before we move on, 2 things. Karen sent in a very generous $5 super sticker. Karen,
Karen!
thank
Hi,
you.
Karen.
you're
Appreciate it, Karen.
Legend.
Awesome.
And second, I know that we try to do 2 people on the reviews for challenge. Keith, if you want to sub in to do a review with Jacob, that's all on you because I have not seen this movie, and I guarantee you Brian hasn't. So
I literally just thought it was The Age of Adeline till 3 minutes ago.
Keith, if you're down, we can do that. We'll talk.
Okay. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
I've seen the movie in probably 20 years, so yeah, I'd love to do that.
Yeah.
Then we will
You guys
review it.
How about
next
we
month
watch
on
it
Part
together?
In April.
Do that.
Maybe. We'll see. We'll talk.
Yeah, and then you guys can shoot it right after Bartley and Barnes, and there you go. All right. Well, all right.
We might do
Stay
that,
tuned.
deal. We might. I can see I got the little sarcasm in your voice there.
I love that. It's now March. So
It's not
coming this
March.
month is now
not
going to
March.
be
It's
April.
not a monthly
It's
show.
not March yet. Okay, don't
It's a-
disrespect February like
it's
that.
hey, wait, well, hold on. It's not a monthly show, it's a bi-yearly show.
No, it's a quarterly show. All right, quarterly.
Oh my god. Okay,
We
we,
do the
got to move
quarter.
on.
We're
We're
gonna
gonna
We
do
got to
do
move on.
Stock
Brian,
exchange, everything.
stay tuned for Brian's thoughts on the last duel releasing tomorrow. Jesus Christ, and Jacob's thoughts on The Age of Innocence next week. We're gonna
Not
get into our
Adeline.
first topic. Marvel Studios. That's the hot topic right now on film Twitter. Well, Kevin Feige did an interview with Entertainment Weekly and described some of the changes that fans, consumers, shareholders can expect in regards to their upcoming Phase 5 and possibly Phase 6 slate. So in an interview with Entertainment Weekly, Kevin Feige said the pace at which we're putting out Disney Plus shows will change. And noting there will be fewer shows and that they will be more spaced out. And as a reminder, What If Season 2, Echo, Ironheart, Agatha, Coven of Chaos, they had set dates initially, but now they're moved back to 2024 with later dates. And we just heard last week that the Marvels, which debuted a poster, was pushed from July to November. So that makes a lot of space between Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 and the Marvels. What is it, about 6 months? About a 6-month break
Yeah,
as far
6
as
months.
about
Wow.
MCU films.
It went from being 2 months to 6 months.
6 months, very much a strategy move. This is very much something that Bob Iger, who recently returned to Disney, stands behind. Okay, it's no coincidence with Chapek gone that they're starting to finally redo things and bring back that, I don't know, whatever you guys want to call it, that excitement that the MCU had for the first 3 phases. And so let's get into it. Let's talk about what this means. Is it the right move? Does it mean that certain shows are never going to see the light of day? Let's take it away. Who wants to start?
I'll start. I definitely think that look, this has been a huge topic of conversation all over the internet, in our space as well with our group, and whether it's after the movies or we did it last weekend when everybody came over to the house, we were briefly talking about it. It's been a very hot discussion, not just recently over the past couple months, but over the last year, just because of the amount of content they've been putting out. And this is just kind of where I stand. I don't know where everybody else stands, but I do think that everyone paying attention to this type of stuff should really look at this as more of Marvel deciding to do this on their own rather than the projects being what's called delayed. Like, they're not delayed. They're not delaying the projects because they're not being made or that they're not being filmed in time or whatever it may be. They're choosing to do this to make sure that the universe itself is better off. Because there's a big difference between what we can call pushing and delaying something. Delaying means that it's just not going to get made in time, that there was problems, someone walked off the set, etc. Pushing is like, okay, well, we're ready, we like it, but maybe we want to get it a little bit more of a breathing room and put it in a different quarter, so we're going to push it back. That's just kind of where I personally stand. But I definitely think that it's the right move. I think it's smart of them to do it now because they could have easily said it at some point last year when we had all the television shows and the movies, but we were in the middle of a phase. This all came out before the start of a brand new phase, which is kind of the smart way to do it. They didn't do it like after 2 or 3 projects into a phase or towards the end of a phase. They did it in between phases, which, again, can kind of be like the beginning of a chapter, essentially. I definitely stand behind the choice of pretty much giving us 5 projects a year, 3 movies, 2 TV shows. Pushing the Marvels back to November means that more than likely we will be getting both Secret Invasion and Loki in between that time period. Probably a TV show in June, and then probably a TV show in August is probably my guess.
Yeah.
August or September, somewhere around there. And more than likely both being about 6 episodes is what I'm guessing. I also think that more than likely the shows that haven't been announced that were possibly planned, those characters could be squished together in other projects and not given the chance to have their own. Because I'm going to be honest here, and we'll talk it out, but I definitely think that many of the projects that we haven't just seen, but that we know they're coming, they're either not necessary or they can be combined into another project that would easily just fit fine. We saw it in the first 10 years of the MCU. Not every character had their own project. I'll use a great example of someone like Falcon. He was in Winter Soldier. Then he showed up at the end of Age of Ultron. Then he was in Civil War. He grew, and now he's getting his own project. He didn't get his own project right away. And that was for many characters. I want to see more characters take the spotlight, but I definitely think that some characters don't need their own shows or projects.
Who are you hinting at?
I don't personally think Agatha needs a show.
How dare you?
Well, they are filming, right? Just
no,
as a
that
reminder,
show's happening. That show's happening. But
okay.
Agatha's not the only one. I personally think that Echo's story could fit in Daredevil.
That's fine.
That show is 18 episodes long. You can put Echo's story, because who is Echo's story dealing with? Kingpin. Like,
Well, they're all in her show too.
like Echo can be, and I get why they're doing it. I understand, but there are certain characters that fit better or just make more sense in a different property rather than a solo adventure. And I think they're realizing. I think that after a year or two of doing it and trying, look, Disney Plus is only 2 years old. Let's not forget about this. It's only 2 years old, or 3 maybe.
3.
So they were obviously experimenting with it and trying, like, oh, we want to do all this stuff. They did it, but then they realized, like, it kind of pushed some fans back because there was just constant content, just constantly watching and taking in information and debating rather than giving people a breather. And I'm okay with them doing it. Like, they owned up to it. They flat out owned up to it, which most companies would not own up to it. So I give them kudos in that aspect. So I'm all for it. I think it's better off. I'm glad to have, a month or two of break, and it's exactly what I was going to. Karen said it: quality over quantity.
I said that for years about Star Wars. I said that on this show.
You took exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
Like
Star Wars realized that very quick.
I don't know about quick, but they did eventually realize that. They realized it now, definitely, for sure.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
and now it's got to the point where, geez, I mean, the movies. That last movie was 3 years ago.
4 years
who knows,
ago.
4 years.
Oh, just over 3.
A little over 3.
Yeah.
It's gonna be 4. It's gonna be who knows when the next one's coming. So, we'll talk about that later. But, yeah, I agree. Just everything you said, Jake. I wonder. None of this, if not for this pandemic, none of this would be happening. Because remember that every time something happens with the MCU or anything moves, or really when anything comes out, or just anything the last couple of years, it's just wonder what everything would look like if none of because they had a totally different slate and schedule pre.
Well,
pandemic.
it was the same projects, but a different
order
that it was being released. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Right. Well, but not only that, you're right, but a lot of it just from productions had to change. They had to shoot differently, because of COVID, like regulations and all that stuff. Reshoots, all that kind of stuff. I wonder how much stuff got reshot, or maybe they looked at some things like, yeah, maybe we can change this, But yeah, you're right. So it's just weird how that just alter all this stuff. But I don't know. Like, so what TV shows? And I didn't quite look at I kind of glanced at the story. I didn't really get into it. But what TV show is actually coming first?
Secret Invasion.
Secret Invasion is definitely going to.
Which they haven't given a concrete date yet, I believe, right, Jake? They haven't given.
Well, it was originally supposed to be March or April, but now because of the Marvels being pushed, it's probably going to take that June spot.
Right.
Or
right after, because Guardians is the beginning of May. So that gives it a month to be in theaters. Because then they released Loki and Miss Marvel in 21 and 22 in June.
Yeah.
So they're keeping a June TV spot. So I'm guessing June.
Yeah. Right. And then I think you mentioned probably something in August too, because I think She-Hulk is in August, I think, right?
She-Hulk was in August or September, which means Loki will probably be the same.
So they'll probably do that. That'll probably a little more what they'll probably start to stick to, at least for now. So, hey, I'm all for it. Listen, if they can just take a step back, let's pull some things, just zoom out, see what everything looks like, sort it out. I'm all for that. I don't want to get into too far into a discussion about fatigue, but I think that for me personally, that certainly has started to happen. Like we've talked about that a couple times over the last year or so. But their storyline, I'm always going to be into. I want to see what's going to happen next. But and then the other thing you mentioned, Jake, that there's a lot of characters, not a lot, but there's characters that I think probably better off in other projects rather than having their own solo. I kind of feel that way about Ant-Man, to be honest. I was thinking about that when we were watching Ant-Man. Like I don't know. I think and he's had 3 movies, so I doubt they'll make another Ant-Man movie. I wonder if he'll be another character that we just see in other projects rather than having solo projects. And I think they might consolidate some stories by doing that, putting some characters in other projects, like like I always say, like they do in the comics. Other characters show up in other people's things all the time. So there'll probably be a lot. I would imagine there would be a lot more of that rather than trying to make solo things for everybody. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. Stop trying to make some. I mean, just because Iron Man was at the time a C-level character that turned into an A doesn't mean it's going to happen to you're going to get that same success with every other C-level or D-level character. So, Brian, Jacob.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Completely agree. I think that this works better because I think they got the hint from Star Wars, and I mean, even I at points was getting like overwhelmed with it. Although Jake is so far off on Agatha, it's not even funny.
I'm interested in that too. I do want to. I'm curious.
It's going to be the campiest show. I cannot wait.
I think it's actually going to be scary. Like
the only reason why I
honestly.
say that is because
you don't like
me. No, to me, it almost feels like they're doing it just to involve Wiccan or to WandaVision's kids, or Wanda's kids. Excuse me.
Well, I think it's just because people loved her in WandaVision, and WandaVision is one of their most successful shows. So it's like, let's do a spinoff.
Her character does. I mean, that she does a lot of she's involved in a lot of big time stuff.
Well, no, I don't. I look, and I could be totally wrong when it comes out. I get that. I'm just saying, to me personally, I wasn't clamoring.
Yeah, I got you.
for an Agatha show.
Yeah, Andy, 100%. That is literally the only reason why her and Catherine Hahn are the only reason I care about the show.
Yeah, she was casting it. That's official.
She's the main villain.
She was casting it.
Oh wow,
that's awesome.
Yeah, she's the main villain.
Brian, were you done with your thoughts?
My last thought was I would not also be surprised if, in lieu of TV shows, you maybe start getting a special presentation.
I like that.
Yeah, sure.
So I mean, we talked about that when we talked about Nova. I don't want a Nova series. I want a Nova special presentation.
Like, I know some of you guys like Moon Knight a lot, but I think they could have done that with Moon Knight. Honestly,
you are high.
No, I think they totally could have.
There's too much going on for that to be an hour show.
There's a lot going on.
They could have done that with She-Hulk.
Yes.
Maybe
not if they're trying to do a sitcom, but it would have been a totally different show. But anyways, to me, this is not a big deal because
I agree.
They announced Disney Plus. We knew this was gonna they were gonna try things and maybe some things fail. Okay. Look at the history of the MCU. How many times have they had to make schedule changes or hiccups? Very rarely. Very, very rarely, especially under the Bob Iger era. The only movie that was announced and canceled that I can think of is the Inhumans movie. Other studios and other studios, even under the Disney umbrella, have announced projects that get canceled. Marvel, and then all of this trouble that started happening was after Bob Iger left, and he comes back and he's trying to fix things. To me, I think it's as simple as that. So if you have this property, this franchise, this studio of Marvel, we got to give them the benefit of the doubt because they've only done this very minorly once or twice since 2008. So I'm not worried. Like they'll figure it out. They'll get it back into shape.
I don't think their pockets are hurting by delaying things. I think they're fine.
Just quickly, I've been saying this since all this came up. The Infinity Saga was the MCU's freshman season. They are currently in a sophomore slump.
Yeah.
And that is it.
That's perfect. Yeah. I like that.
Well, to quote Scarlet Witch and Civil War, I think you guys are pulling your punches. This is definitely a good thing that they are shifting some things around and not giving us too much too soon. But to me, this also says that they are acknowledging that what they've been doing since the start of Phase 4 has been slowly not working out. Okay. Like, and this is just me subjectively speaking. Okay. Like, when you announce so many damn projects and like things that I'm gonna have to keep up with in order to know what's going on when I watch the big movie, the next big movie on this big screen, it gets exhausting sometimes. Okay, like I've only seen about half of She-Hulk. I haven't even watched the finale of Moon Knight, and I haven't even started Miss Marvel yet. It's not because like I don't doubt that those shows have their fans. It's just a lot. Plain and simple for me. It's just a lot. And I think there is a growing number of people who are starting to feel the same way. Okay. Like during the Chapek era, it was quantity, right? Instead of quality. And what did we just see with Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania? The second weekend box office numbers. That's a huge drop. You wouldn't think Marvel would experience something like that, but it's happening. And they probably got these projections weeks ago or something like that, and they're doing more course correction again, which is great. But guys, Bob Iger is not going to be there forever, so they better be learning from these errors and mistakes and hiccups. Okay, as far as comic book movie genre goes, they're still way ahead of the game, and it's not even close. But you know what?
Glad to hear you admitted it, Gio.
But for now, you know what? If Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 was not the next movie coming out, I don't know how much of a rush I'd be to go out and watch the next MCU movie. Just subjectively speaking. If the
Here's my
Marvels...
thing.
Depends on.
I was just going to say, here's my thing. I think for people like us who consume this, like, and live through it, I think it's not as difficult. For people like my sister, who is just a casual, enjoys it, she is so lost and so confused at like what she should have watched, what she didn't or did watch. I think it's taking more of a toll on the casual fans to the point where it's just like I just kind of give up. Type
Yeah, you're right, Brian. You're 100% right about that.
Oh, that's who they're focused on.
Right.
Yeah.
Because there's people that they've got to the point. There's people that don't even either can't or don't want to differentiate between.
For them, Endgame was probably their,
like Shazam's coming out. Like we don't. There's probably going to be people that think that's a Marvel movie.
Oh yeah.
Every old director that they gets interviewed and they ask, "What do you think about them?" They think everything that's a blockbuster is a Marvel. Because that's what everyone just refers to everything as the Marvel movies. That's all you hear. I bet you Blue Beetle is going to come out and people are going to think it's unless Batman is in it. That's probably why they put Batman in everything.
Superman.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, and you're right, Brian, because look, like we all have busy lives, right? But all of us except Gio make sure that like we're consuming every single MCU thing that's released, every episode, the day it comes out, and we rewatch them too. And like we haven't missed anything. But the casual fans do. Because, like, I'm asking people at work, you guys going to go see the new Ant-Man? I'm asking kids. I'm asking coworkers. Nope.
Nah.
So.
Yeah. My kids, they're like, I asked them, do you guys want to still see there? Now they're getting to the point where they're like, yeah, I don't know. Like,
that's crazy. Because I'm still dying to see every project, like, immediately. But that's just me, though. That's just me.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. And, that as far as the MCU fans go, like, they're not worried about us. And I consider myself
we're going to be there no matter what.
We're going to be there no matter what. But how did these movies make $1 billion, $1.5 billion? It ain't just the fans who make up 10% of the audience or 15% at most. It's the casual moviegoers.
Yeah, I think
and they realize that they're losing the casual moviegoers. Look at the Quantumania second weekend drop.
Yeah.
And March is stacked.
Yeah.
March is insane. So, like, thank God Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is the next movie coming out. James Gunn, like it's, I mean, he's like, like he's up there with Favreau and Ryan Coogler as far as MCU directors. But then what? remains to be seen. We'll see.
Yeah. Agreed.
All right. Well, let's see. You asked.
That's what I was laughing about because
Window
Brian.
stickers.
Now they're gonna have a nickname, and
It's cute. They're cute. They're gross, but they're cute.
All right. Well, you guys, make sure you leave your thoughts, whether you're watching live or on playback. What do you think about this shift with Disney Plus, and what good will come of it? What bad? Let's move on and let's go to the other major studio. Warner Brothers, Discovery, and New Line have made a deal, and we are getting more Lord of the Rings movies on the big screen.
Okay.
Now, Embracer Group is the company that actually owns the film rights to Lord of the Rings, whereas Prime Video owns the TV rights. And just want to
Group,
right?
Yeah, there's a full name, Gio. Read the full name. Read the full name.
Embracer Group AB.
Okay.
That's it. Okay, sorry, my bad.
It
Yeah,
up.
right. I mean, you'd be surprised who owns the rights to a lot of these Hollywood projects. But
yeah.
So the report came out that New Line and Warner Brothers Animation, they are currently in production on The Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim. Did I pronounce that right? Rohirrim.
No.
An original. What's up?
Rohan, the city?
Rohirrim.
No, it's something else. There's a different name for it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Rohirrim, I think. I can't roll my R's. Anyways, whatever. Lord of the Rings fans, you know what you're talking about. Casuals, it's a Lord of the Rings animated show. Original anime
that
set
they announced that. It's crazy.
183 years before the events of the Lord of the Rings movie. The movie, which tells the fate of the House of Heim Hammerhand. Wow, we are getting really deep. The Legend of King Rohan is set to open theatrically on April 12th, 2024. Let me read that.
It's an animated movie, guys.
Mhm.
So an animated movie.
Yeah.
2024.
That
But
sounds
as far as live action goes, we're going to get more Lord of the Rings movies. So what do you guys want to see? Let's take it away. Let's start with Keith, right? You're the big Lord of the Rings guy. What do you think? Go ahead.
okay. Just what I said. I don't just okay. I'm worried they're gonna MCU this thing, and that's what I don't.
Well, Keith,
want.
let me break it to you hard. It came out today that Zaslav, by quote, said he wants to make Lord of the Rings like Star Wars.
Okay. Yeah. Well, all right. Fine. Well, Tolkien, and I know his son. There's so much of his stuff that was like, and Jacob, you would probably know more about this than me, but like, there's a lot of his stuff that he did a lot of extra stuff, supplemental stuff that just like wasn't finished, right? Totally.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he did. He did. We read some of it in a class that I took. Yeah,
right.
There was, and I think some of his family finished it for him,
or at least tried to. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know his son's also passed, right? I think Christopher, I think is his name, Christopher Tolkien. Was working on a lot of that. I don't know if he was actually writing or I don't know, but yeah, I know you're right. His family, I've heard that. So maybe I think that's what a lot of this show that we just got on Amazon on Prime Video, which I liked. I liked the show, and a lot of people didn't. I thought it was fine.
I thought it
was based on the history from the Silmarillion.
Silmarillion, which and because they only. So from what I understand,
they played fast and loose with a lot of that, though. Like,
and they did that because they basically Amazon only essentially had rights to anything that had nothing to do with the films. Like they're keeping the storylines that are like around the movies for the movies only. So Prime doesn't have the rights to use them, which is why they're taking liberties on stuff.
Yeah. So what's that company called? That's who owns.
Yeah, whatever that the company that owns the rights to the Lord of the Rings, they oversee everything. Go ahead, Brian.
Can I interrupt? I've just read through a bunch of what it is. So Embracer Group doesn't own it. So it says Embracer Group does not own Lord of the Rings. Those rights are still owned and managed by the Tolkien estate. It does mean that Embracer now holds sway over Lord of the Rings material adapted into different mediums such as film, television, board games, theme parks, and video.
So they're like the highest shareholder, essentially.
Essentially, yes.
And so they're keeping things separate from each other, which then gets super confusing, but also can't help. The only problem is everything in Lord of the Rings is connected.
Yeah.
Like, no matter what age you get into, there's certain things that blend into each other.
That's
because characters live forever, and it's one big, like, all the villains kind of come from one, like, really main section of tree. Like, it's one big section of tree line, and like, and that's where it gets wishy-washy. As far as more Lord of the Rings movies, it makes sense.
Sure.
Like, it makes sense, but how are you gonna do it? And when are like what's the story, like, when? Like, is it gonna connect to
that's what I'm saying.
Bilbo and Gandalf, or are you not gonna touch that stuff?
Are we getting the Aragorn trilogy?
Yeah, like, what are you doing?
Trilogy.
I say they do a sequel trilogy. Because here's the thing, it's either get new Lord of the Rings or not. There's no other books to base it off of.
I don't know. I barely know anything about the Lord of the Rings, like, lore, but I always saw the Lord of the Rings movies as like the end game. Like that story's over and done once Return of the King is over.
Is end game.
That's what I was saying. I was going to say. So you could really.
So anything past that wouldn't like make sense. Like, from what I understand, there is so much stuff like hundreds of years in the past that you could tell.
Yeah, and there's so much stuff that we with characters we have no idea what they were doing.
So Frodo wouldn't be in the story. I mean, at the end, he goes to the secret.
He goes to that heaven. Basically,
yeah. But they stay. You know, the other three hobbits stay. You know, Merry, Pippin, and Sam. They could do something with that. I mean, Sam basically, you know, stays and runs the Shire. He's you know, essentially he ends up doing that. So you could do something with that, and it'd be Sean Astin. I mean, bring him back. To me, this is how I look at this.
Sure.
Now that I'm seeing this all, I think the show on Amazon Prime is separate. Like, I just think it's its own thing. Like, in my view, like, I don't think it's connected to the movies.
I think it's like Daredevil. Yes, I think it's like Daredevil was to the MCU.
Yeah, and the thing is, they could always connect it if they want to, right? But I think, look,
and it's going to in the next couple seasons.
Like,
I don't know.
If they're gonna do it, like, if they want to go all out, they got to do a sequel trilogy, like 15 to 30 years after the original.
I disagree.
They got to make up a bigger threat than.
Look, okay, so
then if not, then you can't bring any of the actors back. Only Legolas.
I don't think you should do a sequels trilogy at all.
Yeah,
I think you stay away from any of those characters. I think you do something
totally.
So here's a reference. If Star Wars isn't going to do the Knights of the Old Republic, Lord of the Rings, go hundreds and hundreds of years in the past and tell a story that has nothing to do with what we know.
Right. It could just be some line of king, some kingdom like that, like the story in the show with the guy. The island nation. I can't remember what it's called. That island.
That's so
tell a story like
yeah.
that. Let's set there. You know,
because we know so far, like they had the Hobbit trilogy, which the Hobbit trilogy was, you know, it didn't involve Sauron, but it kind of set that all up. Then you had the Lord of the Rings trilogy, which was all about Sauron, and now we know. I mean, and spoiler, I'm sorry, but the Lord of the Rings show is about Sauron. Like, it's like in his flesh and blood. And so, and what we know from Lord of the Rings is, and if you don't know this, Sauron actually isn't the big bad. He's a pawn from another character that we have yet to see. So there is so much story there that you could tell hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years ago that is ripe for you to write a movie about. It just depends on if they want to.
So here's the thing. Well, people will make this argument too. But look, this is a fictional world where you can just hire a writer to write a new story. They can do that. But also, to me, David Zaslav is not effing around. I say he's a businessman, and I mean that as a compliment. He knows what he wants: a sequel movies with Harry Potter with the original cast. He's gonna want
There's a story there, though.
Movie trilogy. Look, I'm not saying this is what I want. I'm saying this is what's going to happen. David Zaslav is going to make a sequel trilogy.
I would make a bet with you right now. I'll make
Oh,
a bet
here
with
it
you
is, right
now.
here. Jake, remember our bet, Indiana Jones and the Flash. But go ahead. What's a bet?
I would make a bet with you right now, Jacob, that I guarantee you they're
Well,
not making a
what's the-
sequel trilogy.
What's
I
the
guarantee you
time frame
they're
in
not
our
making
bet?
it.
Like what?
The first
we can't
Lord
wait
of the Rings,
forever.
the first Lord of the Rings movie or story, whatever they tell, it will not be a sequel movie.
Wait, can I ask Jacob? Do you think? Besides, I still also want to say what I think.
No, Brian, you don't get a say in this matter.
Well, too bad. Actually, I don't really. I have like one thing to say, and I really don't care about Lord.
That's
of the
it. That, yes.
Do you mean sequel just as in it will take place in the events after, or there will be some threads that?
Well, I mean, it'll take place after the Return of the King, but I think we'll see some familiar faces. Whether who that is, I mean, Orlando Bloom. He's just in every like he's
Okay, so then you do
in all of
think
them.
sequel.
But yeah, and I mean, Jake, I'm not as confident that it'll be the first thing they do, but I think they will do it.
I just think that you kind of need to separate
And if
yourselves.
Viggo Mortensen won't come back, then they won't do it. So to me, if Viggo Mortensen says no, they're not doing it.
This is the problem we had with Star Wars, and we're gonna get into it here in just a little bit. But like, why make the universe smaller? What like Lord of the Rings? There's literal ages for a reason. Right. Lord of the Rings was the third age. Like there's David 2 Zaslav. Ages before that. But Zaslav hasn't said he's making a sequel. Like you. So do you talk to Zaslav like on the phone or something? Or
you could tell that story.
I'm saying, look at his track record. Everything he's been saying. He wants to maximize his best properties, which are DC, Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings. Okay.
Yes, but Lord of the Rings doesn't mean you make.
I don't know that
just about those characters. It's a property. Like it's a property. It's not just about.
Are you for or against a returning cast Harry Potter movie?
I don't know because I wouldn't know what the.
Then yes.
I don't know the cursed child story. Do I think there's a story there? Probably. I don't think there's a story in.
And you guys are misunderstanding what I'm saying. I'm not saying this is what I want to
I know, but you're
but you're saying that.
I'm just disagreeing with you saying this is going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen.
I can guarantee you that Zaslav will try to make it happen. Like
I don't know if it'll be.
But we'll never.
I think he's going to try to get. He's going to. I guarantee you they've already spoken to Viggo Mortensen. I guarantee.
Okay, but if that's the case, then it could be a prequel about Viggo Mortensen in his time being with the Rangers, hanging out.
Then I would win. Then I would win the bet.
De-aging, sure.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't want to see de-aging though.
Can Brian say his piece?
Of course.
No, Brian. No, I'm just kidding.
You're the expert here, Brian.
No, there's just one thing that I think is a possibility that it's being overlooked at. Because I'm gonna be completely honest. I don't give a shit about Lord of the Rings movies and TV show. I tried to do the TV show and it wasn't for me. However, there is one thing I am interested in, and that this Embracer, this whole entire time I've been researching it. This Embracer group is their subsidiaries are heavy in the video game world. That is 90% of their subsidiaries, including Crystal Dynamics and THQ.
Oh, I can guarantee you right now, Brian, because of Hogwarts Legacy, there's a Lord of the Rings game in the works.
Here's the thing, and I'm not afraid to say it. I'm not a Lord of the Rings fan. The Shadow of Mordor games are some of my favorite games I've ever played.
I guarantee you they're doing the Spider-Man effect where they made that Spider-Man video game, then they made Miles Morales, then they're making more. They're doing Hogwarts, and then they're going to Lord of the Rings. Guaranteed.
There's two things that I'm interested with this Embracer group is they own a lot of video game stuff, which I would be actually more interested in a video game world than a movie or TV show for Lord of the Rings. They also own Dark Horse, which
oh really? Okay.
I would highly doubt you would see Marvel or DC studio throwing out comics for it. But if you throw some of the Lord of the Rings Dark Horse stuff, I could see that more as a possibility than some other stuff. So for me, if I'm going to get Lord of the Rings for my personal likes, I would be more interested in this stake that this Embracer group has in the video games and possibly comic realm.
You're definitely going to get video games. I could see that happening.
Mhm.
I could see Warner Brothers. Maybe movies aren't as like readily like people are so quick to jump, but video games is a huge market. In the Shadow of Mordor games are some of the best games that PlayStation
Did
and
those
Xbox
come
have
out
put
like on the Xbox One?
Yes.
Like, okay, yeah, those
'Cause
games
I
were
played them.
those games were dope.
They were fantastic, and they became platinum hit games. So where you sell a certain amount. So I know, sorry, we're movies and TV, but for
No,
me,
you're fine.
video games is, I think, a huge market that Lord of the Rings should look into. I mean,
Oh yeah, like
I
Jake said,
I guarantee with the
they
Hogwarts
definitely
stuff.
are. Yeah.
Gio, you haven't spoken much. I know you're hosting and everything, but you got to get your opinion in here, man. What are you thinking?
Well, I did a separate video on the channel. You guys can check that out. But Karen said, I think it was Karen who said Peter Jackson. Well, Peter Jackson has been in communication.
No.
He has been in communication with them. I'm not saying he's gonna do it, but they are listening to what vision they have for these new era of Lord of the Rings movies. Jacob, I think you have a point that David Zaslav absolutely wants to bring more of Lord of the Rings to the big screen. They want to replicate that amazing decade that they have. Okay, you want to talk about Disney owning the 2010s, Warner Brothers with the 2000s. Okay, with 3 Lord of the Rings movies, with DC, with Harry Potter, Matrix. They want to bring that back, and they are, in my opinion, trying to get the right people in place to at least be a part of the development team. Okay, they're getting James Gunn and the writers and the creatives together to figure that out. Okay, they're talking about Hogwarts and doing more Harry Potter stuff, Hogwarts, and they definitely want Peter Jackson involved in some capacity. Okay, say what you will about the Hobbit movies. Okay, they're still financially successful, but that original trilogy, okay, that'd be like shutting George Lucas out altogether. I get it. George Lucas was the creator. Peter Jackson wasn't the creator.
That's what's happened.
Keith, I think you can sigh a little bit of a relief. I don't think that Peter Jackson will direct again.
Yes, exactly.
And I don't think Warner Brothers will allow him after David Yates continued on to direct Harry Potter, and that epically failed. So,
yeah,
Peter Jackson's a better filmmaker than David Yates, though. Like a far better.
I agree, but David Yates did the last 4 Harry Potter films, and those things are effing fantastic.
Yeah.
And I just think Peter Jackson doing 6 Lord of the Rings movies, like,
I love Peter Jackson, but I don't want him to direct.
Yeah.
I love him.
He can. Let him be like a consultant, or
100%.
His brain about the world.
Yeah, he should be involved for sure.
Yeah,
a producer. Maybe he helps finds the right filmmakers.
Sure,
like
for sure.
Yeah, I mean, he brought on Neil Blomkamp for District 9.
Sure,
so,
maybe Neil Blomkamp is his director. No, I mean, I don't know. Just saying.
Oh, Gio, you reminded me of when everyone but Jake probably remembers middle school time where it was like Star Wars versus Lord of the Rings. Like those were the two properties that were you picked a side. I remember that.
Jedi's win all day. It just happened.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that wraps up our Lord of the Rings talk. You guys, thank you for leaving your comments in the chat. If you're watching on playback, let us know what you think about Lord of the Rings, getting more movies on the big screen. What are they going to call it? Where are they going to go? Let us know. And let's go to the last topic here. This one is very exciting. Star Wars, another property that's been absent on the big screen for some time. And Disney is, the report came out, Disney is expected to unveil film plans at Star Wars Celebration set for April in London. Specifically, Damon Lindelof led a writer's room in July to hash out a story for a feature, and Taika Waititi is still in talks to direct. He's still developing his own take on the franchise. So, okay, we got some movies on the way. Where are they gonna go? We know what the shows are bringing. So, what's gonna happen here? And I want to hand this off to the Fandalorian Club duo here, Jake and Brian. give us some of your bold predictions, hot takes, or whatever.
Well,
You'll
let's
get
also
a new trilogy, but it's not going to be a sequel trilogy.
Yeah, I think I don't know if they're going to announce an entire new trilogy of Celebration, but I
No,
definitely
they're-
think we're getting one movie. At least one. Because so Brian and I were at Celebration last year, luckily. And the reason why I think that they're going to go hard into movies this year is because they didn't
my
mention a movie.
lightsaber.
They didn't mention a movie once last year at Celebration. It was
Mhm.
all television. It was all about the TV shows. The only movies that were talked about was Indiana Jones. And it's not even a Star Wars film, obviously. And let's also keep in mind that even though it's in very mucky waters at the moment, and it's probably got like a 30 to 70 chance of actually being made, the Patty Jenkins Rogue One or Rogue Squadron movie is out there still. The fact that she's not doing Wonder Woman 3, and that she personally came out and said that she's trying to get this movie made, she's trying to work on it.
Let's go.
Even though there's a very low chance of it happening, it is still out there. Everything can change in about a month and a half. Everything could be absolutely blown out of the water. They can make announcements that has all 3 of these movies on the docket saying, hey, over the next, let's say 6 years, you're getting a Rogue Squadron movie, you're getting a Lindelof film, and you're getting a Taika movie. And there's a 2 years in between each of them.
Is the Kevin Feige movie, is that still a thing?
It's still a thing, but nothing's been talked about yet. It's
as much of a thing as Ryan Johnson's.
Yeah,
thing.
like Feige's thing is very much on the back burner, I think, at the moment. I think
Ryan
that
Johnson said he's doing it.
I think the movie that is without a doubt happening will be Lindelof's movie. Lindelof is the one movie out of the 3 that will 100% be happening. That's in my mind. This guy, if he puts his mind to something, that thing's being made. He obviously recently did the season of Watchmen for HBO.
Great
He was
season.
behind that story. And he seems very, very focused and gung-ho and like, I want to tell a Star Wars story, and specifically a Star Wars story that is set after the sequel trilogy. So that is where that story will take place. It doesn't say who or when exactly, but it's taking place after the sequel trilogy. But yeah, I think at the end of April, we're gonna know what the future of Star Wars looks like. It's been a long time coming, but I think that thankfully they realized really quickly that they were going way too fast with things, that they weren't putting a real hard plan on anything. Like they released 5 movies in 4 years. That's a lot. So they realized pretty damn quickly, like, we can't go at this pace. The sequel trilogy didn't plan out. There was no really set plan and idea of what we were doing. And I also wouldn't be opposed to like not an official trilogy. I would really love to just continue to see, just for a little while, like individual stories about Star Wars, because like I love continuous stories and stuff like that. And we're getting Star Wars trilogies. Like a Star Wars trilogy is 100% coming. But an individual story can allow writers to do whatever the hell they want and tell a story that's set 5,000 years in the past, that's set in the middle of what we know but connects to nothing. You know, they have the freedom to do what they want, and I think that's what Star Wars needs. They don't need as much as I love something like The Mandalorian, which might be my favorite thing on the planet. It connects to everything we know. A movie, if it's not connected to anything, it's the freedom of like going in and not recognizing characters or planets or stories or anything like that. And I think that's what people like Lindelof and Taika bring to the table. The Rogue Squadron movie is a different story because that'll probably connect a little bit to what we know if that happens. But I do think that they're figuring it out, and I think the Star Wars future on the big screen is bright. I do think that once we know, it will be a really good plan, and it's going to get us very, very excited.
I think you could honestly get away with telling stories at any time period of anything that don't necessarily have to. You could easily get away with telling a story about a bounty hunter doing something during the time of the Empire and not have to do anything connection to anything. There's no reason why you need to go super far into the past or super far into the future to avoid things. You can literally tell stories of a singular planet and something happening, never even leave the planet and say it's during the time of the Empire. You don't, I mean, I think that's what people forget, that, I mean, you can tell a Star Wars story without having to connect to everything. And that's kind of what I'm hoping you get. Like, I mean, sure, if you want to make that just a bunch of random stormtroopers, the bad guys, okay, fine. That's all you need. They don't need an overarching Darth Vader for your movie. You can literally just make it like a lead stormtrooper or something. Like, there just doesn't need to always be like this thing. But I think the biggest, most important thing is planning. You need to plan Star Wars. Star Wars is not something you can just throw at the wall, because people are going to fight back with it, because it is a very hot topic when it comes to fandom. They're probably, honestly, probably the worst. So I think the biggest mistake you can do is just not plan. I think they've learned their lesson. They learned it the hard way. But yeah, I mean, Jake already said most of it. They didn't say a single thing about a single movie at last year's celebration. So I would assume I don't want to say heavy, but you can at least expect one, maybe two things said about probably just a random movie. But
they have to announce at least one movie.
Oh, 100, they will.
Because like this, what is going on here? Like, look, the MCU has given it a run for its money, but Star Wars is the biggest film franchise in history. Why are there not movie plans? I'm sure there are now, but like, what is going on? We should not have gone this long with at least knowing something's in the works or something like that. But I don't mind what they did. They, after the Rise of Skywalker, like, they were like, okay, let's take a breather. Let's take a step back and look at everything and reevaluate everything. Put out a bunch of Disney Plus stuff, and we'll figure the movies out later. But I think, can you guys remind me, isn't Kathleen Kennedy, is she out soon?
Probably will.
I thought she was. No,
nothing's been announced. No,
nothing's been announced. Okay.
I think what's going to happen, and people disagree with me, but what I think is going to happen is, I think she's going to see the release through for Indiana Jones 5.
Yes.
And then she's going to put a plan together for Star Wars, and then she'll either step down herself or just take a step back in her role. And yeah.
I was going to say, by the time
her contract's up in 25, I think. But I don't.
Okay, I was going to say, by the time the movie comes out, she will not be head of Lucasfilm. She might be part of the team that gets that movie off the ground, but I don't think she'll be in charge. Not because she did a bad job. She did what the studio. She succeeded. She did according to the studio.
She made a lot of money.
She did a great job according to the studio. One failure in their eyes, Solo. But yes, the critic reviews and the fan responses are important. They are. So, but yeah, they better just at least one movie, even if it's the Lindelof one. Like, I look at his IMDb, he's written some great stuff, not so great stuff, but just something, please. And probably all of you will disagree with me, but I hope it's Jedi and Force related. That's what I want from Star Wars. So.
I want these guys.
Or I mean, yeah, Force users. Doesn't have to be.
I
Jedi,
want this
something.
Bad guys.
All right, we heard from Bartley. What about Barnes?
Well,
you're over it. Damn.
I will slightly disagree with something you said, Brian. Is that I think setting it with the backdrop of the Empire but they can do that without directly saying having stormtroopers and the Emperor and where's the Skywalker and blah 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 whatever. But I think going back, what I would like to see, just going back 1,500 years or so, where none of that exists at all, because we don't know what that universe was like without the backdrop of the Empire and Star Destroyers overhead or whatever. We don't know what any of that was like. We have no idea what that any world set during that time was like. So I'd rather see some stories set there.
It would be interesting because it would definitely not be as explory because they don't have hyperspace if they go more than about
a certain amount of time back.
Years.
You're right.
Well, because High Republic establishes that it's only been around for about 150 years.
Okay, there you go. Yeah. And a time where I don't know what the time frame is. I know at one point there was a Sith planet, right? Or it was a whole planet of them.
Yes.
So what the hell was the life like then? Where it's a bunch of Siths running around? Who knows? That's crazy. Or even a time where the Jedi were like everywhere, or not everywhere, what I mean, but they were way more prevalent and probably way more arrogant than they ever were in the times and stuff that we've seen. But so I'd love to see that. But listen, one of the big reasons that Force Awakens had such an impact was because it was 10 years between movies.
Yes.
And so that you gave it time for people who, and not only that, people now because of that appreciate the prequels, even though way more than they did at the time when they were out, right?
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be in such a rush to. All right, let's get a movie. Let's get to movies. All the TV stuff for me has worked.
See, that was going to be my question: am I the only one that actually hasn't mind not having a movie for a while?
Not at all.
No.
I said that
no.
I mind.
That's the first thing I said after you go back.
And let's remember how the last couple of years have been for Hollywood. Okay, like the TV and Star Wars couldn't have happened at a perfect time.
It's only been 3 years. It's been 3 years.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, I honestly would be fine with them doing like 5.
It's going to be 3 years until we see the second Batman movie. So, get ready, people. Listen, 3 years is not a long time.
We're going to have a similar thing right now. Right now, everybody's like going crazy. Like, when are we getting the X-Men? Right? X-Men. Like, the more time we go without seeing the X-Men, the better it'll be when we actually figure it out.
It's because modern blockbuster has gotten fans accustomed to having movies every 2 to 3 years. That's what it is.
Yeah.
I made the same argument with Avatar: The Way of Water. Okay, like it's just like where is it? Okay, like it's supposed to be here, and it's like you think a Marvel movie takes a lot of time. VFX, try Star Wars. Okay,
I mean it was 30 years until we got Top Gun Maverick. Like, come on, guys.
Exactly. And I don't understand why people were complaining about 10 years for Avatar. You got 30 years for Top Gun.
13 years, Gio.
Look, as far as
and it was worth it.
I will always, because the conversation, since we haven't seen a Star Wars movie on the big screen, I've seen a lot more people discussing do we need Star Wars on the big screen? And to me, Star Wars is a big screen property.
Absolutely.
There's no question that it's a movie property. Like, it wouldn't feel or be Star Wars, in my opinion, if they didn't have projects that were made for the movie screen. With that said, I think that what they're doing with the television shows are absolutely fantastic. Mandalorian, moments and stuff inside the Book of Boba Fett. I think Ahsoka is going to be unreal. We have Skeleton Crew, Obi-Wan last year. They've done a lot of really good things in the Star Wars television. We have The Acolyte coming, The Acolyte is the one property out of everything Star Wars over the last 20 years that has nothing to do with what we know. It is so fresh and so out of left field to current Star Wars. That is going to be the real test, is if audiences connect to The Acolyte, then we will know if movie audiences will also be able to connect to a story that's not connected to things that we know. Because we did spinoffs, right? But it was Han Solo and it was the Death Star plan. So we knew stuff around that. The Acolyte, once that story drops, if people love it, then that gives the studio of okay, well, people liked it. They're okay with telling different stories. Let's throw one more at them. Let's throw another couple more at them. And that's when the doors start to open, right? You kind of just have to open a little crack, see what it looks like, and then blow the door wide open once you kind of get there. So I think once we see the Acolyte, which is supposed to be next spring, I believe, that's going to be something that really is going to be like the tip of the iceberg. I think the show is going to be absolutely fantastic. I think the pieces are there. It has an incredible storyteller in Leslie Headland, I believe her name is. She did Russian Doll for Netflix, and the cast is bonkers good. It's set way before the prequels, and at the end of the High Republic era. We know nothing. We know absolutely nothing. And honestly, like as much as I want to see a Rey continuing her story, I think that the future of Star Wars, in my opinion, is staying away from anything that is in between Episode 1 and Episode 9.
I
that
think
is
the
just
future
me.
of Star Wars is backwards.
So do I. I've been calling for Knights of the Old Republic
Same.
for like 15 years.
Same. With forever. I don't. It doesn't. I'm not sure. I don't know for sure. I couldn't speak for her. I don't know if Daisy Ridley or would. I don't know if she wants to jump back.
Oh no, I think she would.
She would.
It's-
Keith. She's been talking about it a lot lately.
Really?
It's
Yeah.
it's no, it's John Boyega for me. I don't think he would.
I don't know if he wants.
No, Finn will never come back. Finn will never
Yeah.
come back.
They don't need him.
Nah, he's gonna.
You can tell a Rey story without him. You don't need Finn in that story.
John Stewart. Anyways,
Wow.
okay. Let me chime in a little bit here. Keith, I completely agree with you. I think, along with S tier marketing, and I'll say that again, S tier marketing, The Force Awakens benefited from a long span without 10 years without that. That plus the amazing marketing and just the hype of Han Solo, Chewie, we're home.
Yeah.
It's like, man. And then that carried over for me to Rogue One.
Brian.
Like, I still had
Same.
I still had that excitement. It was after The Last Jedi, which I am a fan of, that it just started to like feel a little, I don't want to say it was only one movie a year, but like oversaturated, like you can get oversaturated with just one movie every year. And a lot of people forget this, but that happened under Bob Iger. Okay. So like Bob Iger is definitely, learning from his past mistakes. He makes mistakes too. We all know he's great. He's, GOAT status. But okay. All right. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of insider here.
Oh, here we go.
You're going to get 3 movie announcements at Celebration.
Okay.
You're going to get 3.
Are they all separate projects?
Yes. But you're going to get 3.
Thanks, G.
And, like I agree with Jake. I think Star Wars absolutely belongs on the big screen. It's certainly found a home on streaming to where, you can do a lot more. You can explore a lot more of the mythology, in these 6 to 8 episodes series. I personally want to see on the big screen. Jake, you said nothing between episode 1 and 9. I'm going to disagree with you a little bit. I need to see a movie on the big screen called Star Wars Racer. I need to see the pod racing and all that.
That can be before episode 1, though.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'll give you that.
Right?
Okay, but
Right?
I'm gonna.
I'm tired of
think-
Tatooine.
you don't
though.
think that's on-
That would be cool, but I'm tired of Tatooine.
I'm gonna disagree.
I'm not
with you,
saying
Gio.
that's the first project. I'm saying I need to see that eventually.
I'm gonna disagree with you, Gio, because it should be a television show, not a movie.
What? That epic sound like on the IMAX screen.
The only reason why
my
is because if you're gonna tell a legit series about pod racing, it needs to feel like a NASCAR setting, which means you put an episode at a race. One episode, one race. You go around the galaxy. If you do it in a movie, it goes too quick. Like it's super quick.
Well, it depends on.
Like,
you gotta have a character that we're following that we care about. That.
Hey, I have a script, Keith. If you want to read it, it's great.
I do. Seriously, yeah,
That's great.
If you do, yeah.
I
I
don't
will.
know.
I
think.
I was. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh no, sorry. I'm sorry. I just made
No,
think
you're
of
not.
something.
Go ahead.
No, I'm not. You're right.
Give me a Star Wars Tokyo Drift type movie.
Wait, so are you guys telling me
Vin
the
Diesel, Star
door,
Wars?
the
Dom
door for
Toretto.
Daisy Ridley coming back has opened a little bit?
Yeah. You should just Google Star Wars Daisy Ridley and see the articles that come up.
So even right after Rise of Skywalker, I said they have to do something in the future with Daisy Ridley. It could be 10 years from then, 15 years from then. Doesn't matter. Even if they do something like 200 years after that, and there's like a statue of Rey outside a new Jedi temple, I'm fine with that. Just they established that, like, well, as far as we know, as far as the viewers know, she's the last person in the galaxy with knowledge of the Jedi and all it, and she's studying the texts and all that stuff. As far as we know, there's probably somebody else out there because the galaxy is endless.
Yeah.
But Rey's going to have something to do with the return of Jedi. And I would like to see that. Even the results of that.
I thought the same thing, Keith.
What? What'd you
They
say?
already made the Return of the Jedi. So, but that's not what Jacob was talking about. But like,
yeah, you know what?
I saw what you mean.
I want to see
Jacob.
Jedi
I think
again.
there's. I really do think that there's only that they're real. I mean, if you're gonna do a sequel trilogy movie following the Rise of Skywalker, the only character I really care to see is Rey.
Same.
Like I love Poe. I love Poe to death, but with the First Order / Empire and everything destroyed, what is he doing?
Oh,
you know?
and Chewie.
Well, yeah, Chewie. Well, because they're on the Falcon, obviously,
Yeah,
and BB-8 and everything. So,
let Chewbacca go home. God, let Chewbacca go home
No.
and chill with his family.
I think that, you know, I love stories within the 9 episodes. Like it's rich with storytelling and you know things that are happening. But going back to what I said earlier, we were talking about Marvel. Why make the universe smaller? Like Star Wars didn't exist in just those years. Like there are so many stories that take place in so many different times. Like we're seeing it right now in books and comics about the High Republic. You know, I don't think that they're going to do Knights of the Old Republic, which I think is a massive shame, because they're going to do the High Republic. The next thing they're doing with the High Republic is putting on the big screen. They're going to adapt some type of story and put it on the big screen.
It's already coming with the TV show, the little kids show.
Yeah, well, that's the animated show.
No, but I know I'm saying it's already started.
Yeah,
that almost like guarantees that Yoda's going to be in it, which
not necessarily.
Yoda's in the little kids one.
Yeah, Yoda's not. I mean maybe, but I would say more than likely when you get a live action High Republic, Yoda won't be in it. There are so many characters in the High Republic that you can tell a story without him.
Yeah, no, I mean I don't want like I love Leota, but I've seen enough of him.
Jake, unfortunately, yeah, I agree with you in the sense of I think you can absolutely get away with it. I don't think that they leave him out because it's going to be people, just your casual people going, oh, look, there's Yoda.
Oh, look, there's Yoda, yeah.
Yeah, but that doesn't, that's a dumb way of thinking, though. So,
but that's
whatever.
That's what they've always done.
Yeah.
That's what they've always done.
Their track record says otherwise.
Especially, do you guys agree? Yoda has become more popular since Grogu.
Well, yeah, they literally say Baby Yoda.
They're the same species.
I still call him Baby Yoda.
Yeah.
I do. I will say,
they should do something where Yoda's like. I'm saying they should go in the future, like past Rise of Skywalker. That's what I want.
Well, I would slightly.
Anything.
I know, Jake, you mentioned doing like just individual stories, kind of like I'm assuming what it seems like Warner Brothers was doing, what DC was doing, kind of. Was just telling, like with Joker or like with the Batman
Elseworlds.
Yeah,
I don't need a trilogy right now. I don't.
Right, which I would agree. However, I don't know that they would. You said like a filmmaker, or whoever, a storyteller or whatever, could just do whatever they want. I don't know if they would do that though. I don't know if they would allow them to just do whatever.
No, I don't mean like in like literally whatever.
No, what I'm saying is, like as far as because they would still want to tell a story that they could go back to later, or you know what I mean? Like
I don't know about that.
Yeah, I don't know if they would just. I mean,
wait,
I don't know, man,
because you mean like
an
animation and books?
Here's my example, and I know that it could connect in a way, but you actually kind of have two examples. One, you have the Acolyte, right? Right now, connected to absolutely nothing. Two, that we're aware of. And like I said, things can change in the future. That's what I led with. The second one, Skeleton Crew right now has no connection from what we know. And what we know is that John Watts pitched the idea to Jon Favreau on the set of Spider-Man and said, hey, let's make it. That's literally saying, let's go make something that has nothing to do with what we know. And I get it. Things can change. Once we see a story, it can end up connecting. I'm not saying like they can just like throw shit at the wall, but I guarantee you Lucasfilm compared to 5 years ago is 100% taking pitch meetings way differently from filmmakers. And there have been filmmakers.
Well, I'm talking about in terms of continuity, or if there's something where like, I don't know, if somebody wants to tell a story where this character is your Jedi Council, and then somebody else wants to tell another story where those characters never existed, or those characters were something else or something. You know what I mean? It's something in terms of where continuity, like I think they would not necessarily let anyone
Keith,
go.
are you saying like, let's say a creator had an idea where it's a story about a Jedi and like, but this one movie, it tells the story of this Jedi and he or she dies at the end. Like you're saying they would be like, nah, you can't kill them. What if we want to continue their story?
That's what I mean. Something like that. Yeah. That's all I'm saying. Yeah.
I mean, it's possible. Look at Boba Fett, right? I mean, it's certainly something that they can, if a character is popular enough, I mean,
I'll say it depends on the filmmaker, honestly. Too.
Can I ask the class one question?
Well, they let Rian Johnson do that and everybody went nuts. They let Rian Johnson.
Yeah, but Rian Johnson's movie was already in the middle of a trilogy.
Yeah.
Like that's a whole different situation.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. But then they completely went 360 with everything or 180 with everything he did the next movie.
I know, but what I'm saying is like what I'm saying is like Lindelof, for example, right? Let's say Lindelof went into the meeting with like Kathleen Kennedy, did a pitch and said, hey, I have a story, but it's not connected. It's a singular story, and I want to tell a Star Wars story.
Yeah. No,
and it's a single story, and then I guarantee you, Taika's movie is more than likely just a one-off Star Wars story.
Yeah.
I always envisioned Kevin Feige's as a one-off. Like I thought he was just going to do a one-off story, and that's it.
Yeah. Oh, well, that leads me to this. What's going on with Rogue Squadron? Then why are we having any issues with this?
It's the Patty Jenkins situation has always kind of been wishy-washy. So
why? Is it with her or just? I don't even know.
I don't think we're gonna fully ever know.
Maybe 1984.
I said, "Here comes Gio."
She let's just say there's been some behind the scenes stuff with her, and even talking about Wonder Woman 84 and even the first Wonder Woman movie. Like it's just patience, Keith. Okay, patience.
All right.
Rogue Squadron. Okay, just
listen. That was my favorite Star Wars video game of all time on the Nintendo 64.
That's if I had to pick any movie right now, Rogue Squadron is the one that I want to see.
That's all I care about. I am interested in this Acolyte thing. It does sound really cool. But Rogue Squadron, man. Come on.
Can I ask the class one question?
Go ahead.
If you were to choose between the Skywalker saga being the middle, if you were to choose between going forward in storytelling or backward, what would each person choose?
Backwards.
I'd say backwards. There's so much backwards to go.
You can do both, honestly, but forward.
I know, but I was just curious which one people prefer, whether it's back or forward. Backwards. I prefer back.
It's nothing.
Everyone's been saying.
Yeah, I mean it's nothing against it, but I just know that from the history of Star Wars that there's so many stories in the past.
Yeah.
Right now, as far as we know, obviously it changes when they tell stories, but the Rise of Skywalker is the end of the timeline. We know from legends and video games and stories over the last 20, 30, 40 years that there's thousands of stories that they could tell that have been told before. So,
what was everyone's been saying for you? Just still kind of keep us in the same time frame ish, but I would still like to see. What's Palpatine's master, Darth?
Sidious? Oh, not Sidious.
Plagueis.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah.
Come on, man. Let's get that.
The fact that we have yet to have anything but a name drop blows my mind.
Why?
even if-
Why does that blow your mind when all they've done is made the Emperor the villain
Because
for 9 movies?
he is one of the most infamously. If you are a Star Wars fan, you know the story of Darth Plagueis the Wise. But like,
It's not a story that Jedi would tell.
yeah, I know. But like to me, it's like you would think that someone with a name that a lot of fans know off the bat, you would have a story. Kind of like the Mon Mothma stuff. Like,
but that's what we've talked about. Is like they've put themselves in a corner where they're keeping the galaxy small, and they made the Emperor the villain for 9
my point
movies.
exactly is that it's so small that it's shocking that they didn't just go, okay, let's tell this story, because it's so easily connectable to what they
good
have.
series.
Well,
It'd be a
if
good
they
TV
do that, I know the novel, which is not in the Disney era.
It's not canon.
It's not in that era, but they should do it without Palpatine. Like, tell any story
Can't.
with Plagueis.
Yeah, I don't know if you can.
You can't.
I
That's
think
the
you
problem,
can.
and that's why I guarantee
But
that's why they haven't done it.
basically, Palpatine already told us everything that happened.
You're that's true. That's a good point.
So
But everybody's been so intrigued by that story, just that one part of that movie.
Yeah.
People have been clamoring for that ever since.
I guarantee you the reason why they haven't done it is because it includes Palpatine.
Palpatine, yeah.
what if
It's another
like,
story with
what if the
Palpatine?
first half of the story is without Palpatine, and then the second half is that
Yeah, but
story?
Palpatine's his apprentice. Like,
That's why I said TV series.
Yeah.
You can see the rise of.
Well, even in the novel, he's not with Palpatine at first. Like, they meet eventually, which the stuff was intriguing before he met Palpatine. So
Yeah.
That was the last non-canon novel, wasn't it? If I recall.
it's actually
recent.
I'd have to look it up, but I'm pretty sure it's actually was considered to be a part of the canon stuff.
That's what I heard.
like I thought it was. I could have swore it was one of the things that they brought over with Clone Wars.
It's
So,
not, because I've chosen. I looked it up because I wanted to read it, and I was like, no, I'm not going to read one because I don't want to enjoy
it's still
it. and then
worth it.
and
Honestly,
redo it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's one of the. It was what Jacob said. One of the last ones to be made before they.
Well,
said
they
it.
only brought Dark Disciple and the Darth Maul comic, and then all of Clone Wars.
That's because Dark Disciple is one of the best books ever. Right, Gio?
Absolutely. And
And
on
they were
that
based
note,
off of George Lucas's daughter's episodes, but I digress.
all right. Well, I think that's a good time to wrap it up, guys. Very, very well thought out discussion on Star Wars. A lot of different opinions. Love hearing from you guys in the chat. And those of you watching on playback, fill us in on your take. Star Wars. What are they going to announce? Where do you want to see it go? When will Mace Windu come back? Let us know all your thoughts down below. Let's
This
do some quick
season.
plugs before we get out of here. Let's do some quick plugs. Let's start with Keith Barnes and go counterclockwise. Keith, where can people find you online?
Matt Smith. I put that in the chat.
They can find you at
Shane
Matt
Rose.
Smith's residence.
Nah, I'm just talking to my buddy Shane Rose here. It says Tom Hiddleston. I say Matt Smith, who was supposed to be in the last movie. Anyway, Karen, good night. Good night, everyone watching. Thank you for the birthday wishes. Appreciate that. You can find me on Twitter at Keith Barnes 79. Let's see. Last of Us.
Thank you.
Episode review. Doing that every Sunday night. Only 2 episodes left. Tune in Sunday night. Talking about this excellent show, the 7 for 7. Me and my buddy Gio and Bartley and Barnes. It's coming. Stop it. I don't want to hear it. Shut up. We're doing Bartley and Barnes. Brian, shut your mouth.
The quarterly show,
Do we
If
have
it's
a?
quarterly, then you have till the end of March.
March 31st.
I was gonna
Stock
say,
exchange. Keith, get your Robinhood app ready. Let's go.
It is
Oh,
right.
Robin Hood, guys, get away from Robin Hood. Stay away. Okay, Brian Avicino.
Be Valsina on Twitter and Instagram. Goodreads. If you want to be in my book club, book cult. Excuse me, it's not a club, it's a cult. And a certain point of view with Jake.
Brian, any chance you'll be doing any of the announced DCU projects and comic books that they mentioned reading, like
I may or may
Supergirl,
not
Woman of
have.
Tomorrow?
I may or may not have already downloaded Superman, Woman of Tomorrow.
All right.
Nice.
Well, I'll make sure to join your reads, buddy. Get into that. Jacob Harley.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at JacobBarley824. And like it or not, football news is revving up. So my buddy Gabe and I will be back on First Round Fantasy starting in March. So keep an eye out for that. If you want to talk
already,
NFL or
we just got rid of you guys.
Football. I know, but so much free agency's coming up, and it's yearly now. I only get like January and February off. That's it.
Okay.
All right. Jake Berlin.
Qui-Gon Jake, 2 N's. Someone else took it before I did. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Doing all kinds of cool things over on the TikTok. A certain point of view, multiple times a week. Tomorrow's a big one. The Mandalorian Club returns with our review, the first episode of The Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 1, Chapter 17. I will also say this for anybody watching still, we have a bunch of special guests lined up to join us on episodes this year, which is super exciting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to reveal anybody just yet, but super fun that we have some people joining us, which is a lot of really cool. So check that out. That's going to be at 6 o'clock Pacific every Wednesday. We'll be reviewing it live here on the channel. And then the Whiskey Jedi. I'll be back soon, I promise. It's been a little hectic here in the beginning of the year, but I'll be back with the Whiskey Jedi.
Jake, you and I need to talk. I heard Dr. Pepper and whiskey is I forgot what the flavor it turned into. But I would like to come over and try this theory.
Wow.
Oh, it was Screwball.
Brian and drinking. Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Watch out.
Oh, Jacob, you missed it. At Jake's house.
All right. You guys can find me on Twitter at Insider Geo. Here on the channel with Keith, The Last of Us review every Sunday evening. Check us out there. I do put out news videos, about 2 a week. Latest ones was Stephen Ewan joined the cast of Thunderbolts. Also talked about Lord of the Rings as well. We have our casting table that we did. The most recent upload about 5 days ago was the Johnny Cage casting. We had a nice discussion about that because that Mortal Kombat sequel is on the way. Keith and I are getting ready to do March anniversary trailer reactions, but you guys can check out February. Our most recent one was Jumper, the Hayden Christensen, directed by Doug Liman, sci-fi action movie. Jumper turned 15 years old. We also have The Wedding Singer, 30-year anniversary. Is it? I think it's 25, actually. 25 25th year anniversary, Groundhog Day, all that type of stuff. And Fandom United. I finally got a video out. Yes. I'm so happy about that. Yesterday. Dropped some news about the MCU's Fantastic Four. And just warning you, if you watch the video, you might get upset. That's all I'm going to say. And guys, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate all of you who stuck around and hung out with us. Again, Apocaflix Now, our movie hangout show every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Pacific time. We appreciate all of you. Thank you so much. Make sure you follow us on all of our social media channels. Support all of us. And we love you guys. That's going to do it. Until the next Now, you guys take care.
Good evening.